been very kind to come for the opening of the médialab and to add his expertise in the connection with political science, which is extremely important for us because, as you know, in Chanteau, we have opened this médialab largely for the scientific community here in political science. And this is why it will be discussed by Professor Nona Mayer from the CEE here, the Center for European Studies, the new Center for Analysis, new to English version of it. And she's herself a very well-known political scientist, and she is also the head of the Association of French Political Scientists. So I think it was fitting that she would lead the discussion, and I will carry out the little mic because everything is recorded for the archive. So, Yochai, the floor is yours. Please welcome Yochai.
Thanks very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure and an honor to come here and talk to you, and it's been an utter pleasure to spend a few days in Paris and to get a very lucky and beautiful weekend to walk around. And also to get a chance to meet and talk with a few of you. I had some lovely conversations with some of the students yesterday and some fascinating projects and some of the faculty, and it's really quite wonderful. My apologies that my French is so non-existent that even Bruno can't address the audience in French on the assumption that I will understand enough of it. It's let alone my speaking. So thank you for your indulgence. What I am going to try to spend the next 75 minutes on is to situate in the context of contemporary political analysis of the impact of the net on politics and power, the question of how we build new approaches and observations and how they unfolded, and new techniques of observation to inform and enrich our theoretical political debates about political theory and social theory and its practical effects in the world. So I'm a little greedy. There's a lot to do. I hope I won't be speaking too quickly or going too much over the time that's allotted. You will wave your hands. So let's start with this image. Richard yesterday talked about using the Wayback Machine as this is an image of Diebold, the election systems, the front page of the election systems company from early 2002. And right there, right up there, you see that they have Diebold election systems, and they talk about Diebold in the state of Georgia. They're starting the first implementation of voting machines in the United States. Here is the front page of Diebold today. You will poke, you will look, you will search, you will not find Diebold election systems anywhere. They've farmed it out to what they now call Premier Election Solutions, a separate firm that because it's become such a toxic issue in American politics that they don't want to be associated with it. They want Diebold to be the automated teller machine company and somebody else to be the voting machine company. And one of the fascinating things about the story of Diebold is how the politics of voting systems came to be understood. One of the things that needs to be understood, as maybe you remember in 2000 we had a little bit of an issue with election process in the United States. A province run by the brother of one of the candidates, both of whom were sons of a former head of the CIA and head of the government, through the election to the incoming president. So we were a little sensitive about the results of elections. And in the great state of Georgia, they introduced these new voting systems. And all of the mainstream media, the New York Times, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, etc., reported on it basically like this. Some people worry about these. But person X says that they are doing everything they can and they're assured that it's all going to work out. And person Y said that they will service these machines and they have people on. And of course, person Y is the person who's selling the machines, and person X is the person who bought them for the state, and all is well. It's hard to look at election machines because they are proprietary, because they are in code, you need people. That's what the idea of an independent media is. But instead, what happened was something that looks roughly like this. One activist, Bev Harris, got the source code from an unprotected FTP site. She then put it up on a site called blackboxvoting.org, not an analysis, but just the materials and a call for help and review. Another site in New Zealand called Scoop put up the materials and an editorial which was a call to arms that gives us, in a sense, the core attributes of the networked information environment and the networked public sphere, if I'm allowed to use that term here. I'll try to avoid using it too often. So the first thing is, as we anticipate attempts to prevent the distribution, we encourage supporters of democracy to make copies of the files and make them available on website and file sharing networks. That is to say, not legally protect the materials and use law to protect it, but rather replicate, make robust, make it impossible to subject. Some of these may be password protected, but here are these nice people from lostpasswords.com. They can help you get over the passwords. Some of them may be encrypted or corrupted. Here are these people from Zip Repair who will help you get over that. We don't have money to pay anyone to analyze these. We don't have the clout to get it out. But this is really important. This could be the next Pentagon Papers. Go out, do it, and if you find something, upload it here. In fact, what ended up happening was that a whole bunch of people from around the world tried to analyze, and then one encryption research group led by Avi Rubin at Johns Hopkins actually found problems with the materials. There was some media exposure for this. Diebold had to respond, and then Maryland, which was one of the states that for 2004 was trying to get the machines, did their own analysis and required an analysis. Bev Harris then becomes a central node in this discussion. So an anonymous whistleblower sends her a cache of emails that were found, as well as sending them to Wired Magazine. Wired Magazine simply writes a story, can you believe these people? They lost their stuff again. And that's it. Bev Harris knows what to do. She puts them on black box voting and invites the world to help analyze them. This time, however, Diebold is smart. They say the emails belong to us. They're copyrighted material. So you have to shut them down. You, the internet service provider, have to shut down Bev Harris's analysis, somewhat analogous to your new law here in France, which, shall we say, seems a little odd to some of us looking at it from a distance. End of story. The emails are down. Not quite, because a group of students at Swarthmore College have made copies, just like the Scoop story asked, and set them up. So now we have a new model, but then Diebold knows what to do. They send a Digital Millennium Copyright Notice to the college and says, you're the service provider, you have to shut it down. End of story. Not quite. Not quite, because by this point, students and activists around the world have created copies and injected them into a series of peer-to-peer file sharing networks. Some of them, like Freenet, open source and free and open source software intended specifically to be censorship resistant and not particularly useful for music, but very good for documents against censorship countries. Other of them, Overnet, a commercial peer-to-peer music file sharing system exactly intended to make money from the fact that people illegally share music, which has both proprietary and non-proprietary, commercial and non-commercial and open source readers. So what you get here is an ecology of resistance made up of professional and amateur, commercial and non-commercial, legal and illegal activity, all of which together resists the censorship and organizes action for people to actually look at the emails for themselves and say, where are the problems? As it turns out, the California State Commission, on the day that they're about to approve the machines, suddenly somebody comes up and there's this dramatic, if you read the text, of the transcript of the meeting, there's this dramatic moment where people say, well, we were going to meet this, but there's new information, so let's postpone. 2 months later, when they find out that something like 80% of the machines that were certified in California had been changed. And they find that out at least partly due to the emails. Now, law would have ultimately come out on the side of the students, because the students also bring a district court declaratory relief action that says this can't be what copyright is for, and they win. So all is well, but they win 1 year later.